justice. Yep.
Hold it!
You said she had it made. So then it was made in Japan? That's right. They say she hired a famous craftsman to make it. And they say it's quite valuable, too. And you were going to take such a priceless family heirloom and just give it to your patron? Pheh, that's so typical of you ignorant common types. Making difficult decisions when the chips are down is what being a politician is all about. But only when it's in service of your own political career, you mean. The crystal is a testament to my ancestors' remarkable achievements. And furthermore...
Hold it!
So tell me, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, are you famous in Karain Village? You could say that, but I find my popularity to be rather bemusing. Bemusing? Yes, my campaign posters keep going missing as soon as I put them up. My avid supporters and female fans are likely taking them home to hang in their bedrooms. I guess ignorance really is bliss. All this only proves my fine lineage.
Hold it!
I'm sorry, but is any of that relevant to the issue of the relic's rightful owner? Have you never heard of kingcraft? Is it like shovel forge? Kingcraft? It's the art of ruling as a king. My father drilled it into my head from a young age. And one of its precepts states, ruin awaits a ruler who responds to every single issue posed by the masses. Well, that's answered my question about what he meant by the king of this nation. Progress. Apollo, who is this Omni Fey, anyway? I believe she was the founder of the Karain channeling technique. The plaintiff claims she had the crystal made for his ancestor. That would mean it was made in Japan, right? Yes, I suppose it would. Okay, so it's going to be this. We're going to say... So, confusingly, they're like, okay, so you have wherever we currently are, we have Japan, which he's actually named as the country that he's from, and that, No, now this is getting confusing. Okay, so Kurain is not any... It's its own weirdo country, right? It's weirdo country over here. Separate from that, there's where we are right now, which has Kurain Village in it. But then there's also the country that the people in Kurain came from, which they're calling Japan. So in the Japanese, there must be three, like, the game takes place in Japan, which is where Kurain Village is. So there must be two other countries that... One is Kurain, and the other is whatever country him and his people came from, and which Omni Fey also came from. Weird, I don't get it. But it's gonna be this. It's gonna be, hey, this is a motif from a long time ago, specifically from Kurain, and it is on the... It's on this, right? Yeah, it is. So, how do I present that?
Hold it!
That object you set down there, is it something of importance to you? It's a name placard. This one here belonged to my grandfather, Abraham Atishon. He had it custom made during his distinguished political career. It's special because it was crafted from the finest Italian plastic. Where the Italians were famous for their fine plastic. You can touch it if you want. No, I'm fine. Very well, I'll just continue with my testimony. My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler, but he was also an eminent politician. Okay, Alright, we're gonna need him to say something else that we can... I know what the contradiction is, but I can't present two pieces of evidence. I need somebody to bring up the picture so that I can object to it. So I take it the relationship with the Fey clan was a close one. A smooth and open line of communication with my entire electorate. That is the politician way. Huh? Oh, sorry. I was asking about your ancestor. Whether it's about me or my ancestor, feel free to ask me anything you'd like. Transparency in government, that's the politician way. Well, like dodging questions, that's the politician way. Thanks. I'll be sure to ask when I have something you'll actually answer. As I was saying, the Atishon family protected the Fey spirit mediums back then.
Hold it!
It's... Garrett, it's killing me. It is. I wish... Well, it's like I said, at least Paul is a name. We had... Who was the Jesus guy whose name was, like, Peace, Love, and Understanding? It's like, Peace, Love, and isn't a word. It's not a word, it's not a name. It's not anything but garbage. Spirit mediums were targets of discrimination? Yes. Some people even treated them like they were monsters. The transformation the mediums underwent when channeling spirits frightened the locals. And then there were those who tried to use them. You mean they sought to control the channeling powers of the mediums? Discriminating against a minority is absolutely despicable. A vote for me is a vote to end discrimination. I vow to root it out wherever it may be. That is my promise to you. He's totally ignoring your questions. It's like you're a moderator at a political debate. Yeah, and only he cares about his talking points. As thrilling as your campaign is, could we please get back to your testimony? As you wish. Now then, as for the Crystal of Omni Fey... Oh, here we go. No, sorry. They just changed the pic. I guess I can... I guess this must be it. That because they show this picture here that I can object. Let me just press on this again real quick. Yeah, this is the one where they mentioned that it was made in Japan. So they've got the picture here. I should be able to present the research notes which show the picture with that design. Objection.
Objection!
It worked. You stated that Omni Fey had the crystal made for your ancestor. So am I to assume it was made in Japan? That's right. The craftsmanship is unbeatable. Well, that's strange. I don't see how your so-called crystal could have been made there. What are you talking about? It's quite obvious if you take a closer look at this.
Take that!
Take a look at the distinctive design here. According to Dr. Buff, it's a Mitma motif dating back to the early days of the Kingdom of Khurain. The Kingdom of Khurain, And you base this on? Here. This piece of evidence, Your Honor. These are the Doctor's research notes on the Founder's Orb. This is the box in which the orb was originally stored. It features the same pattern as the one found on the orb. They do look like the same pattern. I also like how we could have opened with this, right? We could have, from the first... What is your opening statement, Mr. Apollo Justice? This is the box that it was stolen from, and it has the same design as the thing. Case closed. Therefore, I assert that the disputed item must have been made in the kingdom of Khurain. My placard! That was a good take damage moment. The Khurain channeling technique originated in the kingdom of Khurain, and Omni Fey is known to have traveled there to train. With that in mind, who's to say she didn't bring that pattern back with her? But since this is clearly a Khurainese design, not even you can deny the possibility that it was made there in the kingdom of Khurain.
Objection!
Anything's possible to some extent. It's a rather vague statement, but okay. Anything is possible to some extent. That doesn't make it true. So you can't conclude that the orb is from Khurain based solely on that pattern. If it were that simple, I could just as easily say it's Japanese. I have to agree with Mr. Wright. The pattern alone proves nothing. But that also means there's no basis to claim the item in dispute was made in Japan, either. At this rate, we're going nowhere fast. Arg. He's right, we're just spinning our wheels here. I wonder if we have any evidence that could break this stalemate. Evidence that could break this stalemate exists. Why not? The defense would like to present a piece of evidence to the court. A piece that will finally break this stalemate. Oh? Well, you've sure piqued my interest. Let's see what you've got. Alright. I will now prove that this is, in fact, the Founder's Orb. Take that. It's the Founder's Orb. It says I've deciphered the patterns. I'm gonna guess it's the email based on the fact that I don't have anything else. Crack the riddle. Alright, let's try the email. I'm not sure about that. And just how does that piece of evidence prove that the relic is the Founder's Orb? It doesn't, does it? Not by any means I can fathom. Sorry, Apollo. I have to agree with the boss on this. Me too, actually. Me 3 defense. Yikes. Ooh, they brought me back here, so maybe it does not exist. There doesn't seem to be anything we can use, at least not at this point. Well, unless we can find something, this trial won't be going anywhere. Once in a blue moon, like maybe once per, not even once per case, once per game, they'll throw that at you. Where even though normally it's like, do you want this added to this person's statement? Yes. Do you think that your client is not guilty? Yes. Do you have a thing you can present? Yes. It's always yes, and then once per game at most, the correct answer is to say no. Perfect trial every trial. Phew, that's much better. What's his deal? I have a suggestion. Why don't we consider this from a different angle? I know it's true. Yeah, I can't fault the game for it. It's just, it's so often the right answer. And they usually don't, I assume, they don't punish you for saying no. They just go, you say no, and he pulls a full, like, there's absolutely nothing that'll do it. And the person next to him goes, well, you have to present something, otherwise we lose. And he goes, okay, you're right, okay. Then yes, I will present something. So it's almost always a fake choice. Where if you say no, he goes, no, but actually, yes, I will. Why don't we consider this from a different angle? I'm listening. What if the Defiant Dragons really were authorized to take possession of the relic? I'm afraid I don't know where you're going with this, Mr. Wright. Consider the orb transfer agreement, which states, I agree to hand over the Founder's Orb to the Defiant Dragons if I will come to no harm. What if, as the last part suggests, this was written under duress? That would render the agreement null and void. What are you suggesting, Mr. Wright? While you were on your little cave expedition, I was investigating Dr. Buff's accident. And there was something you overlooked, Mr. Justice. Namely, that his accident might have actually been murder. You overlooked it. It is your job as a... Well, you weren't even acting as a defense attorney. It is your job as the son of a guy who asked you to go on vacation with him. It is your job to always be on the lookout for murders. How did we get out of the cave? We found a way out. It started to flood, and his dad was like, well, you stay here, I'm gonna swim for it. And he did. And then the cave started to flood more, and just before it was like, oh no, like, there's nowhere to go, or I'm gonna drown, his dad showed up again, and was like, here, hang on to me, and then they whoosh out of the cave, and he's like, oh yeah, I knew I had to go back for you, so I found a guy with a fishing boat, and a giant, like, length of rope, and I tied the rope around myself, and then swam down there, and then after I got you, he pulled me back. He used the rope to pull me back out of the cave. Oh, that? He said it wasn't... He did say that it was him, but that... Yeah, he pretty much just admitted to it completely. He was like, I was just trying to give you a push towards your goal or something. I don't know what. Yeah, we totally, he should be, but whatever. He's the real murderer, so he's gonna have life in prison anyway. We don't need to tack jaywalking onto it. Murder? Mr. Wright, you do realize such statements are not to be made lightly. Are you suggesting the doctor was murdered by the Defiant Dragons? Yes, but follow me on this for a sec. The books that came tumbling down were from the archaeology shelf. However, among that mountain of books was a single volume on psychology. What's more, there was some blood on it. And you feel this is important because the books that came tumbling down were from the top shelf, the archaeology books. We know this because the doctor's books were meticulously organized by subject. Archaeology took up the entire shelf, so that psychology book is completely out of place. Come to think of it, the shelves were arranged quite carefully. It's also worth noting that psychology books only take up a tiny part of the bottom shelf. You might wonder why a book on psychology was found amid the pile of archaeology books, but I believe I can explain what that single out-of-place book was doing there. The doctor was struck from behind while selecting a psychology book from the shelf. And that's when the blood got on the book? Precisely. And to make it look like an accident, he was buried under a mountain of archaeology books. Wait a sec. This is all just speculation, right? Or do you have proof that it was murder? Of course I do. You do? On a hunch, I had Detective Skye examine the doctor's head wound. She found that he'd been struck with the corner of some object or another. Wait, what? It was the Thinker! He was struck by the Thinker statue. It all comes back to case 1. A wound like that couldn't have resulted from a fall to the floor, you know. Do you understand what this means, Mr. Justice? The wound makes it crystal clear that Dr. Buff was murdered. Well, that was unexpected. Who would have thought we'd break out of the stalemate like this? His head also had blood on it. Blood from the book. I like how so whoever killed him hit him on the head with a book and took the trouble of emptying all of the archaeology shelves onto his body to cover it up, but still left the murder book sitting there instead of just taking it with them and throwing it down the Grand Canyon or something. He pulled the ladder right out from under us. Still, if he thinks that's enough to make me back down, he's got another thing coming. Even if the cause of death was murder, what makes you think it was the Defiant Dragons? You should know better than to hurl baseless accusations.
Objection!
Did you forget who you were up against, Mr. Justice? Huh? You didn't actually think I'd come to court without witnesses and evidence, did you? What are you talking about? You have never come to court with a witness or evidence ever. You just show up and go, I don't know what's going on, but go ahead and just hit me over the head with your evidence, and then I'll figure something out. I would like to request further testimony from the plaintiff. Specifically, I would like the court to hear how he saw one of the rebels leaving the crime scene. He saw what? Yeah, but are you sure? It's his only tactic. If he can prove it was murder, that's the end of our client's right to the orb. Did he have this up his sleeve the whole time? Grr. How could Mr. Wright do this to us? He was just waiting to spring this trap. Heh. This trial has taken another unexpected turn. But I must mention, Mr. Wright, that you have yet to identify the murder weapon. The object used to commit the murder was not located at the scene of the crime. The murderer likely disposed of it elsewhere. Oh, they didn't hit him with the book? Okay. Alright, I take it back. Well, I never thought we'd be deliberating the issue of murder at a civil trial. All right, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, your testimony, if you please. Prepare to be dazzled. Dazzled by charismatic oration forged in the crucible of campaign battles. Is his little Daruma pin gonna come into it eventually? I think that's what that's called, right? A Daruma. You paint. It's. I'm trying to remember. It's a doll that you have, and you want. Like you pray for something, or you wish for something to come true, and when it does, that's when you paint the other eye on. Maybe I could be making it up. That evening, I was walking alone, lost in thought. I passed by the doctor's house, and that's when I saw Mr. Arable. He was running out the front door. It was around 10 at night. Surely that must have been him fleeing the scene of his crime. A vote for me is a vote to end such violence. That is my promise to you. So the plaintiff saw a possible suspect fleeing from the doctor's residence, and it was within the window of the estimated time of death? That's horrible. What in the world were you doing there then? It seems Mr. Arble was loitering around Karain Village that day. There's evidence he was in the doctor's study as well. Isn't that right, Mr. Justice? Ah, you mean the suitcase? Exactly. He must have been in quite the rush to leave that behind. Oh, and by the way, Your Honor, Mr. Arble just so happens to be sitting in the gallery today. Ack! See, that's him trying to escape as we speak. Bailiff, don't let that man get away. Right, you backstabber, why are you doing this to me? Being suspicious, running from crime scenes, acting sketchy. Cracking wise, sending me $1. And VCR repair. All right. The counsel/defense may question the plaintiff/witness once more. Please proceed, Mr. Justice. That evening, I was walking along... Oh, I already read all this, right.
Hold it!
Did you notice anything unusual? Yes, his behavior was incredibly suspicious. His eyes were darting all around as he ran off in total panic. As soon as I saw that, I knew he had done something, and it probably wasn't good. Despite that, you still didn't report it to the police? Who would have thought he had killed Dr. Buff? Not me. That's why I didn't report him. So the witness didn't notify the police. Oh, yeah, it is. Yes, it's important. I request that the witness add it to his testimony. Sure, why not? I had no idea that Dr. Buff was dead. That's why I didn't call the police. Who... is gonna be this? Like, if he was somewhere where he could see the entrance, we're going to argue that he could also see through the window. Probably.
Hold it!
You had no idea he was dead. In other words, you knew nothing about what had happened. I am truly ashamed of myself. What? There's been a gruesome murder in my beloved village. What a fool I've been. I was thinking only of the village's future and world peace. It seems my earnest attitude and industrious nature have come back to haunt me. Any politician would try to pass off self-aggrandizement as self-deprecation. This is a tough sentence. Only a politician would try to pass off self-aggrandizement Is it aggrandizement? Aggrandizement. It's self-deprecation. It's only my native language. Apollo, you think this is how all politicians will be from now on? We're all doomed if they are. If you don't mind, I'd like to continue with my testimony. Self-agoraphobization. Self-prosopagnosia. Hold on. He said something about what time it is. Anytime somebody says what time something happened, it's always... But at the time, you didn't know the doctor was dead, is that correct? It's true that I've been known as a prodigy from a very young age. Huh? I graduated high school and college with exceptional grades. As class president, I reformed stale old school traditions. My exploits were even covered in local papers. But as exceptional as I am, I can't be expected to know everything at all times. This isn't working. He's bending the questions to serve his own needs. Hang in there, Apollo. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, I believe the court is well aware of your exceptional nature. Now would you please continue with your testimony? Continuity error. Where is the tape? I have the upcoming election in the bag. Does the autopsy say what time he was killed? We just got the autopsy. So 10 o'clock falls within the, within the time that he actually did die. So I guess it's not that. I'll try presenting the map.
Objection!
Nope. Something off about that statement. Seemed perfectly reasonable to me. No, something's definitely not right if you listen really carefully. A gambler once sang, "You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em." Oh, I know this one. Know when to walk away, know when to run. I don't know which penalty hurts more, the judges or their singing. I don't remember. Who did they say called the police? Was it Paul? Like in the morning when somebody saw him through the window. But we don't have that anywhere in the evidence. Maybe we have to press on everything. So how do you actually intend to end such violence? Elite politicians, such as myself, never reveal their strategies. Did you really think I would divulge such sensitive information to the likes of you? Yeah, but surely you have some sort of campaign platform you're running on. No comment. Clearly, his is a platform told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. It's from Macbeth, right? Hamlet? Macbeth? One of those. Same thing. He didn't know the doctor was dead? Well, I guess that makes sense, considering the body was inside the study. Right, how could he have known? Guess I should at least find out where our Weasley witness was when he saw dots. Okay, yeah, so we were supposed to press more.
Hold it!
Why were you taking a walk? Society is inundated with serious problems that must be solved, and as a politician, I'm always on the job, thinking hard about possible solutions, even on my walks. Thanks for the non-answer. While we live out our comfy lives, there are starving children who suffer in the back alleys of our major cities. It's not in me to ignore such suffering. A vote for me is a vote to end hunger and for world peace. Yes, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, we are well aware of your outstanding character. Now please, continue with your testimony. I can practically hear my poll numbers surging. Now on with my speech. After all, the voting public must be informed of the magnificence that is me.
Hold it!
Where exactly were you when you saw Mr. Arable? Right here, under this tree. Alright. I saw him dashing out of Dr. Buff's front door. And he didn't notice you? Can we kill Paul? Is that okay? Well, maybe this will end like the last game, and a sniper will inexplicably shoot him in the head during his breakdown. No, I was hidden by the tree. Is it really all that important to know from where the planes... Yes, it is. Yes, I believe it matters a lot. I ask that it please be added to the witness's testimony. Give me another quick second. I will be right back. No alarms, no. On fire is relative. Only my relatives are on fire, clearly. Yes, I believe it matters. Oh, we already said that. So wait, so now what do I present? The dead body?
Hold it!
I'll just press him though. What were you doing under that tree? A lack of lateral thinking. That is a politician's downfall. What? That is why, if I'm elected, I promise to think outside the box. The question was, what were you doing under the tree, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson? I suppose I can't expect a plebeian such as yourself to understand my grand design. Oh, yeah, try me, O Lord of Plebs. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, I believe the court is well aware of your grand political vision. I can hardly wait for the upcoming election. Alright, well...
Objection!
That doesn't count? Unbelievable! I am struck dumb. As well as regular dumb. That's enough. I see no need to further prolong this trial. The Defiant Dragons have failed to sufficiently show their right to the item in question. Ownership is hereby awarded to The plaintiff, Mr. Atishon. That creep, Paul Atishon, stole the Founder's Orb right out of our hands. The dream of revolution in the kingdom of Khura'in died that day. And we returned to our daily lives. As for my relationship with Mr. Wright, the word awkward comes to mind. Let's just say it was never really the same. Failed revolution. Finn. It was back to 5 dots, so I have to press again.
Hold it!
We'll just go through and press on everything. It was fast forwards. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Remember that one time you didn't defeat me in the courtroom? Yeah, go clean the... He already does that. That's already his job. All the time. Is having to, like, clean the toilets and stuff.
Hold it!
Nothing changed. It was the same, but also more awkward.
Hold it!
Finished the Pixie Beast tribe. Cool. I actually just yesterday, like, finally got them up to Bloodsworn. Is this... Did I do this one before?
Hold it!
Yeah, there's you finish the story, and then if you do one more tier, nothing extra happens. You don't get access to any additional items or anything. They're just like, you're definitely the best.
Hold it!
The only thing that it's important for is eventually, after we have 3 beast tribes, you'll need to get all the way up in all of them in order to do the final story. Or the final quest.
Hold it!
Just like for the other ones. Alright, so we're about to have everything pressed. He said he saw dots from under the tree. Then if that's true, then... Did you figure something out? Yeah, I think he's hiding something. Let's take another look at the evidence, Athena. Alright, so we have everything. So here, can I present the map? This doesn't have their dots on it.
Hold it!
Let's press on this again. going to have to be either the photo or the study diagram. Showing the diagram here would be redundant because it's the same. It's already there. Or is it? No, it is. So here, present the map. I've already forgotten what I did last time. I'm gonna do this.
Objection!
Alright, I got it. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, rather than Mr. Arable, wasn't there something else that should have had your undivided attention? Like what? Oh yes, of course. A politician must always keep his finger on the electorate's pulse and focus on the nation's... Sorry, but you're way off. I am? Would you care to explain, Mr. Justice? If the witness saw Mr. Arble from his position here, then he should have also been able to see the doctor's body. After all, it was right next to a huge window. How do you access trusts? Once you finish the Stormblood story, you unlock the ability to rerun with trusts. It should be right in the main menu. I don't know which thing, like maybe party or something. Party menu or the something else menu down at the bottom. Why, I believe you have a point there. Did I say Stormblood story? I meant Shadowbringers. With the body that clearly visible to the witness, it's unthinkable that he wouldn't have reported it to the police. Ah. Under duty. There we go. Would the witness care to respond? Oh, he's sleeping. Did he fall asleep? Mr. Atishon-Wimperson? Mr. Atishon-Wimperson! Huh? Oh, There are many sides... there are many sides to any issue. What did I ever do to deserve this? In any case, I'd like the court to acknowledge the inconsistency in the witness's testimony. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, did you really see Mr. Arable? Yes.
Hold it!
Where do you think you're going? Oh, I thought I'd return to my seat, seeing as I had already answered the question. This isn't some small-town hall debate, so you should stay right... just stay right there until I say we're through. I'll have to run that by my campaign manager before I... Glare. Giku. Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, I think it's time for you to come clean. Huh? So then, does this mean he didn't see Mr. Arable? As your lawyer, Mr. Atishon-Wimperson, I advise you divulge that matter we discussed. Silence is no longer an option. Go, 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 go. Are you sure about this? I'm in the midst of running for office. I can't afford to let any strange rumors get out. Don't worry. You won't suffer any blowback for what you're about to reveal. So Phoenix is secretly trying to get Paul thrown in jail for murder, which means he should get disbarred. I mean, you're not acting and you're not being a, what's the term for it? Legal taught me. There's a term for it. Passionate? No. The person is entitled to a... There's a word. There's a particular adjective because it's part of, I guess, the legal term for it. Valiant? No. No, it's a particular word, and I can't think of it. Zealous? I can't think. Oh well, I don't know. It's something along those lines, though. Like you're entitled to a lawyer who really will put forth every effort to represent your case. Man, that's gonna bug me for days. I can't think of the word. Blowback. I'm not sure I like the sound of that, Mr. Wright. Not to worry, Your Honor. Nothing untoward will come of this, I promise. Now then, Mr. Justice. There is that, right. There's the right to a fair trial, but above and beyond that, a person is entitled for their lawyer to like, you can't have a lawyer who's just like, oh, well, like, if you represent someone, you have to actually, like, they're entitled to that. They're entitled to a lawyer who will put forth full effort and not just go, oh, well, I went up there and I said you probably didn't do it. No, it's not the word ethical. It's a particular legal term because it's something you could be you could lose your ability to practice law if it's shown that you weren't doing this. And I can't think of the word. Oh well. I'll have to watch every one of his videos later until I can remember it. Now then, Mr. Justice, remember how it was an anonymous caller that reported the doctor's death? Okay, we didn't know who it was. It was anonymous. Come to think of it, zealous advocate. Okay, maybe that is it. That sounds... Maybe it is zealous. Did I say zealous and then back out of it? Maybe it is zealous. You're entitled to... Maybe not. I'm going to give it a maybe. Emma, who was the first one to discover the body? About that, whoever it was, it seems they wanted to remain anonymous. What? It happens now and then. Some people would rather not get involved with the police. Google says it is. All right. Wait, you're not saying that... Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. The anonymous source who contacted the police after discovering the body was my client, Mr. Paul Atishon-Wimperson. What? You don't say. We shouldn't be that shocked. So you see, he played his part as a concerned citizen. Quite admirably, if I may say so. Isn't that right? Yes, indeed. In our society today, there are too many who choose indifference over righteous action. But I don't number among them. That's why I did my duty as a concerned citizen. One might call me the model citizen, one worthy of standing above the rest. What a real standard bearer he is, reporting it anonymously. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Justice, wasn't there someone else at the scene of the crime when my client discovered the body? Oh, you mean Mr. Arable? Phoenix, this, up until a few minutes ago, this was a civil case. Actually, I suppose it still is. It's still technically a civil case, not a criminal case. Phoenix was hired by Paul Atishon to say, to argue that the orb needs to be returned to him because it is the Crystal of Omni Fey, whereas Apollo, on behalf of his father, is arguing that it is the Founder's orb and should be returned to the Defiant Dragons, per the agreement that they had with the doctor guy. The archaeologist. It's a civil case where the argument is, what if a murder? Yes, as was expected, we have gotten around to maybe the person who was found dead was actually murdered. He would have been leaving the doctor's house right around then. Wait, that means... Yes, it does. In short, what my client witnessed was Mr. Arbel fleeing the scene of a heinous murder. And that's not all. Based on what we've heard so far, Mr. Arbel looked exceedingly suspicious, and that's putting it mildly. We already know the Defiant Dragons threatened the Doctor with bodily harm. And now that they've killed him, the so-called orb transfer agreement is null and void. It's so funny to see he's on the wrong side. The suddenly appearing streaks of blue light are traveling in the wrong direction. Cats and dogs living together. You are absolutely right. You have found an error in the way that law functions in this universe. Although maybe they'll actually stop. Maybe they'll stop the trial here and be like, okay, so end of the civil case, and we will bring in a prosecutor to prosecute your guy. Let's see if they do that. It's also funny that the Phoenix Wright music is playing during the "you are now losing the case" scene. Like, serious evidence has been brought in that makes it more likely that you're going to lose. I like it. It's so backwards. Apollo, if we don't come up with some sort of counter-argument... And what sort of evidence do you have? Can you actually prove that it was Mr. Arbel who killed the Doctor? That move had desperate written all over it. That's all I've got, so I'm going with it. Evidence? I suppose it's true that I don't have any. I knew it. But I do have another witness. You do? You should know I always come fully prepared, Mr. Justice. Objection. Objection, lying? Objection, liar, liar, pants on fire. And my new witness will provide testimony proving Mr. Arbel's guilt. Good. A new witness? I wonder who it could be. It's going to be the son. Very well. Bailiff, please summon our new witness. In the meantime, the court will take a brief recess. Are they going to summon just the drone? Or are we going to see the real person? I would like both sides to use this time to prepare properly.